So if you've ever gotten lost in your pattern, you've had to rip out at the end of the day, um, my very favorite thing for you is our chain row counters. If you've never used them, they are the best thing ever. I don't want to re-go over the presentations that I did last year or the things maybe that I've seen, but if you want to know more about our chain row counters, head over to our website and we can tell you all the things. Thank you for the link, Katie. Um, They are the best things. But I wanted to talk to you about a few of the new things that we have in our shop right now. And these are specifically because we had people ask for them. So let me see, make sure I can flip my camera here because I'm trying to be fancy. Haha, look at that. I have two cameras. I feel amazing. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about for all you people who do not knit swatches, it's we are in good company because I don't always either, um, or who are confused by the concept of gauge. Most of the time when you're asked to knit gauge, you either are told to knit a big square in pattern, and then you have a cutout and you need to count how many stitches fit into that cutout. And the problem is that you end up questioning, does that half a stitch at the end count? Do I squish it a little bit to make it fit? Do I stretch it to make it fit? I'm not really sure. So what I've got is our new quick gauge tool. And what the quick gauge tool does is it has individual little grids that are designed to fit around the stitches. And this will work for knitting or crochet if you're by Crafty. But everything from 9 stitches to the inch, which is going to be like your little socks, all the way up to maybe some chunky knits at 3 stitches to the inch. But you just slide it over your knitting until you find a grid that everything fits nicely into. So this one, the line is a little bit wider than that last stitch. I'm just going to line up my lines in between the stitches and see which ones fit in. And so I think I'm at 4.5 stitches per inch. Now, by Crafty, I love that you're by Crafty. Woohoo! Um, I I love this, and it's true. If you are hardcore, and it is true that you really should measure gauge over 4 inches or a larger amount because it can be a little bit tight right here, a little bit, but you can spot check your gauge in several places on your swatch or on your normal knitting, and it'll give you a very quick idea of what your gauge is to know if you are close. A lot of knitting is as long as you are close, you're pretty good. It's when you are way off, you're going to end up with a sweater that really doesn't fit, or if you're knitting hundreds of stitches. So, um, the first, this is my first hack for our new year is our new quick gauge tool. And thank you, Katie. Thank you for the reminder. Um, if you use the coupon code Knit Happy on the website, you can get 20% off anything that you order. And of course, if you sign up for the VIP All Access and get the Knitter's Toolkit, that the cowl pattern for the Wandering Hearts that goes with my free cabling class is part of that. So all the gifts, because we like to give you all of the gifts. Oh, thank you for passing it around at your yarn store, and thank you for sharing. It's amazing. Knitting becomes intuitive over time. You are true. Um, yes, technically you should wash and dry your gauge swatch before you test it, um, because yarn behaves differently after it gets wet. But while you are knitting, the reality is you need to know if you're close. You need to know if you're even in the ballpark, and that's where this is really helpful. Okay, The second thing that was exciting for me was Fred. Have you guys met Fred? We had a contest on our Instagram and on our social media to figure out what his name was, and we had a lot of different options, but we really love Fred. Fred is our new Pama Llama. And so because pom-poms are and tassels are so popular for a lot of different things as finishing items for the ends of ear flaps on hats or the ends of scarves or shawls or things like that. Fred is amazing because he will let you do 4 different sizes of pom-poms and 4 different sizes of tassels, as well as make lucite cords. So a lucite cord is something that not everybody knows about. So I'm going to show you real quick what a lucite cord is and how you make it on Fred. So it's fairly self-explanatory on how to do a pom-pom. You can wrap this way for a large version. You can wrap here for a slightly smaller version. You can wrap around his feet for an even smaller version. And then finally, you've got this last section right here for an even smaller version. And if you want a tiny, tiny little tassel for some earrings or a tiny, tiny little pom-pom, you can even use Fred's ears right here to make a tiny, tiny little tassel. Now, lucite cords are fun because they're kind of like those peg looms that you've seen, but only 2 of them. So you're going to wrap a figure 8 around Fred's ears and then do another figure 8 so that you have 2 loops. And you're just going to grab the bottom loop and lift it up over the top loop. Don't wrap as tight as I did. It makes it difficult. Pull your tail and do it again. Do another figure 8 and pull it up over the top. And this starts to form a nifty little cord that's coming right down here across his face, like so. So yes, that, if you look in the chat, that is a standard lucite. And they've been around for centuries. It's a very old tool for creating cords for bags and for garments and ties and things like that. And it's a very sturdy cord, but it's just a 2-stitch sort of cord. And your granddaughters would love this pom-pom maker. Yes, he is very kid-friendly. A lot of the other thing that is really kid-friendly is our new I-cord tool, the cord quill. This took us 6, 7, 8 months to develop because we wanted to make sure that it was the best to use. So back in 2023, there was that one video that showed up on social media that it was an Eastern European knitter who had a homemade version of a 3-hook I-cord tool. And every Instagrammer that I saw freaked out, and I did too. I'm like, what the heck is this? I want it, but nobody was making it. And so I decided that I was going to attempt to make one for us. But the first few that I attempted to make were really, really frustrating because I made the hooks too long, or I tried to copy what I saw on that original video, and it had kind of a V shape for the hooks, and they came into a round handle. And every time I tried to make cord, they would get stuck, they would get caught, or I would drop stitches, and it was really, really frustrating. So after working with this and trying to find a handle shape that I really liked, I actually made a handle out of polymer clay and used my hand as the guide on how to how to form our handle here. So if you like to hold it loosely like this, it fits really nicely in your hand with the thumb and the forefinger like this, or it has a thumb groove right here if you like to hold it like this. It works well for lefties and for righties, and it it is super comfortable. What makes it so amazing though is the length of the hooks, and is just the right length to kind of form your natural draw out mechanism. And it bumps up against this, and then you can bounce back for another stitch. If the hooks are too long, you end up pulling too far back and it slows you down, or you have choked up so much and you're holding the hooks that you end up dropping stitches off the end. Also, the hooks are straight instead of in that V pattern, and that allows these edge stitches, because if you're making an I-cord, it's actually a round tube, that it's not, you don't have to pinch the hooks in order to get it small enough for the stitches to slide over. They slide over naturally. So let me show you how to make an I-cord using our cord quill. And I know it's kind of a funny name, but I pictured, when I first started developing this is when I developed this technique, which is the free cabling technique, where you can literally like draw on your knitting. And it made me think of this in the form of like a pen or a quill, an old-fashioned pen, in order to draw and to do things that I never could before. So, okay, so we are going to wrap the yarn over, under, over, and then wrap the yarn all the way around, and we're going to pull those stitches up over the end. You'll notice this one doesn't really pull over, so I just kind of lay it between, and I'm going to use my fingertip to pull that last one over the end. And this is going to create a loop around each hook, and that's just the cast on. So this is, if you want, you can do a backward loop cast on each hook. The only thing that matters is that you get a loop all the way around each hook. And then I'm a continental knitter normally, and so I like to tension the yarn just like I normally do. And I can hold on to my tail, and I'm going to wrap the yarn across all three. You'll notice that it's just above the lever and my loops are down below the lever. Then I'm going to grab onto the stuff down below, and I'm going to gently pull back on the cord quill until the loops come over the end. Then I'm going to tip it up and slide it back until they are below the levers. Wrap, grab close to the hooks, pull, and down. And the clicky sound, honestly, is the best. So you'll notice how that motion is naturally coming just barely shy of bumping against the handle, which is why those short hooks are so nice. Okay, my English friends, we're going to swap the cord quill to the left hand. And when you are working I-cord, if your only intention is to make I-cord, it doesn't matter which way you wrap. But, so you can wrap this way, you can wrap this way, whatever is comfortable for you, as long as you are consistent. Otherwise, if you alternate back and forth, you're going to be making a flat piece of knitting. As long as you keep going around and around the same direction, you're going to make a round I-cord. So hold the cord quill in your left hand and wrap the yarn. Tension the yarn however you like to in your right hand as an English knitter or as a lefty. Wrap the yarn, grab onto your tail, and pull outward, down and back. It's important to make sure that you are not wrapping too tightly. You feel like maybe you want to strangle this to make it sure that it stays within the hooks, but you need to make sure that you relax it. Do you see how it's tight and then it relaxes and kind of puffs up? that if you relax it and treat it like a new little baby chick that you don't want to strangle, then you end up with a beautiful, effortless cord. Any questions? Anybody need me to demonstrate it a different way? So an I-cord is really great for straps, for bags, for um, for edgings, for strings, for hoodies, for lots of things like that. It's also fun if you add wire. You can make words and letters and pictures. There's a new pattern on our website called the knitted alphabet that has a whole alphabet of letters so that you can knit yourself words. You can knit the entire word in the same color, or you can change colors after each letter. And it's super fun. Again, you can draw or doodle onto your work and create fun creations by applying the I-cord directly to the work. This is my little emoji guy. I like to say this is my 16-year-old son. He gives me this look a lot. So it's one of those things that you can really play. Okay, demonstrate the casting on again. And oh, I should show you I-cord bind off too. While I've got stuff on here, I'm going to show you I-cord bind off real quick. So I-cord bind off, I am going to make sure I have the right yarn in my hand. I am going to put the first stitch off of my needle onto the back hook of my cord quill. I'm going to wrap the yarn around, and then I'm going to pull it over. And that's going to knit that stitch together with the stitch that's on the back here. You want to pay attention, though, that your gauge may be different on the cord quill than it is on your needles. So in order to keep it from pulling too tightly, maybe, you need to make sure that you're loose, or you can add an extra stitch of just I-cord in between each stitch that you're binding off. Let me demonstrate that from the English side too. Okay, so if we're binding off and we're an English knitter, means you're going to want to hold the cord quill in your left hand. You're going to put that stitch on the back hook. I'm going to put my needle right here and I'm going to hold it with my thumb. Then I'm going to wrap around front to back, and I'm going to pull that up and over. Place it on the back loop. Hold the needle with my left hand so that I can wrap the yarn with my right. And pull it up and over. So it works. So it works either way.
And you're still wrapping in the same direction you were all along, correct?
Yes. And honestly, you're going to be okay if you change direction once. It's when you really swap back and forth frequently. You can also, so I-cord edging. I'm going to pull this off of here. Okay, here's a fun thing. So we have pulled it off. We've dropped a stitch, we've done whatever. I am going to pull these stitches so that my yarn is going to the very end over here to this last one. And I'm going to pull that stitch out just a little bit so that they're as big as I can get them. And I'm going to put this back on my cord quill. I always start by putting the middle one on first, because it is the one that has the least amount of yarn that can go to it. And then I put the far one on, and then I put the one that has the tail on it last, because that one I can pull a little bit of extra yarn to it to be able to get it on. So I've got this back on my hook. And if you want to do an I-cord edging on something that is already here. It's the same method of applied I-cord. This actually also works really well if you want to connect two swatches together for like a blanket or something. If you're going to do that, I would put one stitch from this one on this hook and have another swatch and one stitch from this one on this hook. Sorry, my hand is in the way. But we are going to grab a stitch from the edge. It probably doesn't matter if you choose to use this hook or this hook, the far hook or the close hook, as long as you are consistent on which one it is. Even grannies, yes, even grannies. I don't think I have my swatch with me that shows how I put everything together. Do I? I might. Hold on. Let me show you this first. So I'm going to put that on there and wrap it, and then I'm going to pull. I'm going to put it on and wrap. And it caught on my hook. So instead of fighting it and keeping to pull, I'm actually going to push it forward until it is back below the lever again. And then do it again. So I'm going to pick up a stitch from the edge, wrap, and pull. Pick up a stitch from the edge, wrap, and pull. And this is going to just apply my I-cord to the edge. You'll notice that this one, you can see a little bit of edging. And so that tells me that, oh, the other side is going to look really nicely. And so instead of putting it on this front loop or this front hook, I should put it on the back hook so that the pretty side is on the front. So let's try that for a few stitches and see how it looks different. Experiment, friends, experiment. The benefit is that it's not damaging your knitting in any way. So experimenting doesn't hurt anything. And you can rip it out if it doesn't work out. We're just mad scientists over here. So we want it on our back hook. Oh yeah, see, that's much prettier. That's a much prettier edge. Okay, let me see if I've got that granny square over here somewhere. I don't think I do. I was going to show you how it looked connecting things, but it didn't. Experiment. See what it looks like. Ooh. Okay, so that is our cord quill. Any other questions that I missed? You can unmute yourself and ask, or in the chat. Yes, it is kind of a fidget tool to just miles of I-cord. It becomes really addictive, honestly, is to just make lots and lots of I-cord. When you didn't think you need more tools. Yes, it's one of those things. Ooh, for the arms and legs of gnomes, that's a great idea. Yeah, and Lauren Nelkin has been playing with three-stitch I-cord tools like this for quite a while. And oh, somehow my camera ended up upside down. There we go. That's better. Okay. I had somebody ask me to demonstrate the cast on again. Okay. So let's do the cast on again. See, so easy to just rip it out. Yes, if you go to cordquill.com, I've got videos for all of this, plus videos on how to add beads and make jewelry and how to make the wire letters and all of that. Okay, so cast on, let's try from the left-hand side or from the English side, and I'll do it both ways. So we are going to go over, under, over, and then we're going to wrap all the way around and pull over. That first one, you're going to need to have to help it. And you may need to have to help it for the first few rounds. I think in my left hand, I prefer to do it this way. So I'm going to do it that way. And we're going to pull it over the end. Notice how I had to grab really close right here to get it over the end instead of holding onto the tail way far away. It helps if you're holding really close. So we'll put it around and over the end. Okay, what weights of yarn work best? So for our cord quill, it'll work for fingering weight, sport weight, DK, all the way up to worsted weight. You will notice that, so right now I'm using DK weight, and the DK is, it makes a looser and slightly thinner I-cord than a worsted weight cord. So this one is a DK weight cord, and this one's a worsted weight cord. There's not a whole lot of difference, but you'll notice this one is a whole lot more springy than this one is, because the yarn takes up a lot more space. If you're going to be using wire in it for like the letters, I highly recommend that you use the DK weight or sport weight because it gives you a little bit more room in the center to thread your wire. Okay, I wanted to do one more tool before we are almost at the top of the hour, and I know that there's another class after this, and I don't want to take anybody else's time. But we have a couple more things that are also new this January. We've got our new cast-on stitch markers that if you haven't seen them, they are the best for those blankets that have millions of stitches that you need to cast on. So they've got our tiny little silver engraved numbers, and they go by 50s. I've had a lot of requests for smaller numbers, and we're working on that, but these ones are 50s, and they are numbered on both sides of the stitch markers. And I love them that they are our melody clips, which means they're removable. So they're great for casting on for crochet, but they're also great for if you cast onto a long cable, instead of having to knit back to your stitch marker in order to remove it, you can just pop it off the cable without having to necessarily knit back. Or you can clip it onto stitches or those giant starting chains for crochet. It works for that too. And the other thing is we've had a request for, so we have these nifty little tags for your cords in your interchangeable sets that tell you the lengths of things. And we have a numbered set that says 16, 24, 32, and 40 that are great for a lot of standard cables. But we've been, I'm looking at you, Chaigu. They don't believe in the same length of cables. So we had a lot of people tell us that they needed ones that were universal, that were going to work for a lot of them. So these ones are short, medium, long, and extra long. Because the reality is most of us don't actually care if it's 16 inches, but we know that we need the short one, or we need the really long one. Thank you. I love my owl carrier. This was from our Advent box a couple of years ago. And if there's enough interest, we might start making some of these to put back in the shop on a regular basis. But yeah. So those are our new things that are in the shop. And I'm glad to see the chat and to see that there are things that are exciting you too, because they excite me. I don't want to take up too much time and make sure that we finish on time. Are there any questions that anybody has that I can answer? Or any problems that you guys have that you need a tool to solve, because we might have one of those, or we might be able to make something for you for the future. Oh, thank you, Mary. That's so kind. Name of the trident. You would love an owl organizer. Okay. A holder for circular needles would be wonderful. Yes, and don't forget to use your coupon code Knit Happy for 20% off. Um, I'd love a set of 6-inch length straight needles. Ooh, interesting. I think these are 9-inch that are by Clover. And I love these for photographs because they don't stick out of the out of the frame. But yeah, these are about the only straights that I ever use because I prefer circulars, but that's a good idea. Um, oh, your snag-free markers often don't snag, but the yarn gets caught in them. Are those the infinity style? Or were they a specific one? If they're getting caught, you can always email me at support@twiceshearedsheep.com and I can help with that. Um, yes, there will be a rewatch of this, Karen, so don't worry. Um, yay.
Yes. Most of it is on YouTube. That one, it didn't start when I thought it did. So we were like 17 minutes in when that started, but we have the full recording from Zoom, and that will be uploaded either tonight or by tomorrow morning for sure.
Okay,
And then you'll
wonderful.
get an email from Dawn from me. um, Dawn is taking over the inbox with an email message for you all, and that's going to have a link to the replay to make it really easy for you to find.
Yes. But through the magic of Jessica putting the links in the appropriate places.
Everything is a team effort.
Wonderful. Um, oh, the cable locks. I'm trying to, sorry, I'm trying to follow along as we go. Um, help you mark your interchangeable needle tips that don't always stay marked. Ooh, that's an interesting thought. That one is going to have to require some thought and some noodling on. Um, um, yeah. How to put a project onto a cable without dropping stitches. You might need to elaborate on that. Um, you made iron tags with numbers for your interchangeables. Nice. Yeah, the 8-inch straights for dishcloths. Yeah, that's what I love these for. Mm-hmm. Okay, friends. Um, Again, you can find us at twicesharedsheep.com. Please go watch my presentation on free cabling. It talks a little bit about more about the cord quill, um, and talks and I'd love to see what you do and what you your creativity, because the reality is what I want you to feel like when you are knitting is I want you to realize that you are good at this. Now, you may look around at other people and you may compare yourself, but you are good
Yes,
at
that's good.
this. You are so good at this, and I want you to feel that. So I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you learn so many things, and I love you all. Thank you for spending your time with me, and thank you for letting me be part of your world. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you for making my knitting life happier and
All right,
easier
hold on. I
and
got to
more pleasant.
just entertain
And
yourself for a second. All
um,
right.
just trying to, okay. Yeah, we've grown up in business together. We both started kind of doing different things, yarn adjacent things, and have pivoted and changed directions as our interests have changed, as our goals have changed. I started out, I was knitting newborn photography props and selling them, the same hat and bonnet over and over in 15 different colors. And, I need it in 3 weeks, and oops, the baby came early. Now I need it now.
Yeah.
So there had to be another way. And wanting to be home with your kids and just trying to find a way.
Well, and I started out actually unraveling thrift store sweaters for yarn is what I started selling was recycled yarn, and thus the name Twice Sheared Sheep. Um, but yeah, we've both grown an awful lot. And fun fact, we both have twin boys. So
Yeah. Dawn has more than that. I was good with the two. My
I,
body did not agree.
I feel like my twins are at the end. They're numbers 4 and 5. And Jessica's were numbers 1 and 2. And I think that if I had had the twins first, I would have been done too.
So yeah, that is a fun fact. And yeah, I was one of, when you were doing the yarn thing and making kits, I was a randomly drawn winner. I think I've told you this before. There was a lace weight shawl kit. I still have the yarn, because I haven't used it yet because it's too special. I don't know. It's still in the plastic wrap. It was like shades of purple, a shawl. And I still have it.
That is probably the Primus shawl.
That
I
sounds
have
right.
the original big purple Primus shawl in my closet.
Yeah, it was like
Um,
lace mini skeins that made a
mhm.
gradient.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should knit it.
I
Although
should knit it.
it is like cobweb weight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that was, gosh, I don't even know how many years ago. A
that was
long
a very
time.
long time ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lifetimes ago, it feels like. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being our diamond sponsor for the summit. This wouldn't be possible without our sponsors, so please make sure that you visit Dawn's website, check out her products, watch her presentation. She made it special just for you guys. And she's got some goodies for you. And there's a discount code Katie posted before. If you get a chance, Katie, if you can drop that in the chat for everyone again. And that was 20% off anything your heart desires, or almost anything your heart desires, on Twice Sheared Sheep. And on the whole cart or one item?
On the whole cart.
On the
I
whole
think the
cart.
only thing that it doesn't apply to is the Surprise Box Club, which there are still a few membership slots available. That ships out probably mid-March, and that is our favorite thing where we just get to spoil you rotten with all sorts of things all year long. And so, like the owl thing was only ever in a box from Twice Sheared Sheep, and it was never available on the website. And so there are a lot of things like that we do, special bags, special special kits and things that are only ever available in the boxes, and we love that.
Yeah.
So
And that was
yeah.
born from, was that from your Mother's Day kit that you did a couple years
Yeah.
ago?
So we did a box one year for Mother's Day, and I think that had the spring floral bag in it, and um,
It did.
everybody loved it so much, and they're like, "We need more boxes," and I'm like, "I don't know how to make more boxes. What are you talking about?" So we did. The next year we did a club where you could get 3 block boxes, one for each season, and then we did the Advent box in December. We've had some people say that they want a winter box too, but I cannot imagine doing a winter box at the same time that we're trying to pack Advent boxes. I think we might go insane.
Yeah. I
We
still
start Advent
use
boxes in July.
the spring floral bag is the bag I use for my things. And the yarn that was in that box is, I had second sock syndrome for a little bit there, but I'm at the toes. I'm almost ready to Kitchener the second toe. So I'll show those
Uh-huh.
off.
I think that was the surprise party yarn from Sheepyshire.
Yes.
I If you don't know Tara from Sheepyshire, she is amazing. She and her husband, this is their full-time job, is they dye yarn, and they do such a beautiful job. And all of their, like the quality of their yarn is so wonderful. So go be their friends. Go be their
Yeah.
friends.
They're awesome. What was I gonna say? Yeah, that was one of those things where, not everyone's spouse is great at gift buying. And I saw that you emailed about it, and I sent the email to my husband and I said, buy me this for Mother's Day. And he said, you mean I just have to like click button and like put in my card and I don't have to think about it? I said, yes, buy me this for Mother's Day. And so
I love that. Um, okay, Katie, question. How to move my active project onto the cable without dropping stitches? Are you trying to use the extension cords, Rachel? Um, yeah, the extension cords. So The size of cord that you need to use depends very much on how sharp the points of your needles are. So if you've got a rather dull tip to your needles, if you like a rounder tip so it doesn't stab you, then you're going to need a larger cord or a larger diameter cord. Or if you've got very sharp tips, you should use the very thin cord, which, oof, the thin blue cord. And when you put it onto your needle, you need to make sure that you really do. You stick it in there and you stab it as hard as you can and twist a little bit to make sure that it is on there nice and tight. And then when you are sliding things, you need to push from here and not yank from here, just to make sure that you get it on there. And then, of course, now that it's stuck on there very good, I have to use like my thumbnail and push in order to pop it off.
Why are you barking?
The smell on the silicone cords. Some people are very sensitive to maybe the chemical smell, and some of them we put an odor absorber in it. We try very hard for that. But if you are having a smell from your cords, the best option that I have ever found is literally just to throw it in with your laundry and wash it in the washing machine. I know that you're worried about maybe getting the water inside the cord, but it will dry out, and that seems to be the very best for helping to remove the smell. You know, because some people just airing it out outside doesn't seem to work. And it's kind of like cilantro, how some people really taste the cilantro taste and it tastes like soap to them. That for some people, the PVC smell of new PVC, like a new shower curtain or something like that, is overwhelming. And so if that's you, then take your cords and wash them with your laundry. Because that seems to help. I've tried baking soda. It doesn't work as well as laundry soap, which is kind of funny. And not even like soaking in a tub, but actually the agitation of washing. Jessica, we are at 12 o'clock. Do you have another? I want to make sure that we're not pulling over and taking
Yeah, I
somebody
do
else's
have
time.
a speaker panel. We're talking about the secret life of knitwear designers. So you can all come and hang out. You don't have to go anywhere or move to a different Zoom because I'm trying to keep things as simple for you as possible. So it's the same Zoom link every time that we're live. So yeah.
What time does that start, Jessica?
Now.
Now. Okay, I'm going to mute myself and your
Okay.
panelists come forward, friends.
Okay. All right. So we are gonna get into so thank you to everyone who joined us with Dawn from Twice Shared Sheep, and I am going to bring my fellow knitwear designers up on the screen, and we're going to do a little panel, and we're going to talk about what it's like, actually like really like to be a knitwear designer. I have some pre-prepared questions, but you can also add questions in the chat, and I've never run a speaker panel before, so we'll see how this goes. Actually, I am going to, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to, you guys all stay put. I'm just gonna stop the recording so that I have a clean